What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I've got a guide on how to complete the main Easter egg quests in Astra Malorum Zombies. There are two things you need to do before you start this quest, and that's turn on the power. I don't have a guide for this, but the game literally tells you how to do it. Just follow the different mission prompts in the top left of your screen. And you also need to build the wonder weapon, which I do have a guide for that. I'll put it in the description down below. You could also check it out on my channel. The first step is to follow behind Oscar. If you crouch behind him and basically follow him without him being alerted, you will cycle through a ton of different audio messages. These are actually from all of his different victims, which is kind of crazy. I would highly recommend having subtitles on for this, but eventually you will hear a message from Dr. Thurston, and he's going to say 3 different planets. Using the 3 planets he told you, you want to refer to this image and pretty much get a code, a 3-digit code from the order of the planets he told you. Next, you could go to the observatory. This is the pack-a-punch room. Interact with this terminal and type in your code. This is going to lower a platform in front of you, which you can climb up, interact with the zombie, and get the cryochamber key. You can then take this key to the Machina Australis. There's this cryochamber pod which you can then open with the key. If you go to the museum, you can break this glass and then pick up the hacksaw that was inside the case, and you can now take that back to the cryochamber pod that you just opened. Use the hacksaw on the body inside the pod, and you will take the brain. Now that you have the brain, you can take it to the luminarium. If you interact and put the brain inside this pod, it's going to start a defense lockdown, where basically all you have to do is defend the brain. Once the lockdown is complete, you can now pick up the entire canister, and be warned, once you pick it up, you cannot drop it and you cannot sprint. So make sure you have your friends helping you. If you're playing solo, I would have like some monkeys, some gershes, or something like that. All you have to do now is take the brain back to Machina Australis, and you can put the brain inside this machine. Next, you want to head to the pack-a-punch room and interact with the telescope. While you're looking into space, find Mars and write down the coordinates in the bottom left of your screen. This is actually a code that you will take all the way back to Machina Australis and enter it into this machine. This next step seems to be confusing a lot of people, so I'm going to try to explain this to the best of my ability. Where you set down the brain inside Machina Australis, there's a screen that tells you Dr. Thurston's reading list. The first thing you want to do is write down the exact books that show up on this list in the exact same order that you see them on the screen. Inside the room, directly next to the machine, there are statues and bookshelves, and this is where people are getting so confused. I'm going to try to explain exactly what we did. First, you want to find the books that were on the reading list on the bookshelves. There can be books on this bookshelf that aren't on your reading list, and for now, you can't ignore those. For example, on my reading list, I had 6 books, and I found 2 books per bookshelf in this room. There were 2 books on the first shelf, 2 books on the second shelf, and 2 books on the third shelf. So basically, I knew that the code for the statues was going to be 222, and you can only enter this code at the beginning of a round. It literally gives you like 15 seconds to rotate these statues. That's all you have to do. Count the books, figure out how many of your books are on each bookshelf, and then rotate the statue that many times. If you do this correctly, you can climb up the ladder in this room. A secret hatch will be opened, and you can pick up the Neptune planets. Now that you have the planet, you can take it back into the Machina Australis, head upstairs, and you can put the planet on this hook. You will now go around the map to 3 different locations and find these pieces of paper. They're going to have a planet and a direction on a compass. Obviously, you want to write these down. The first one can be found in the luminarium. The second one can be found on this desk next to the entrance to Machina Australis, and the final one can be found inside the archive of Orbis on this desk. Now you're going to head back to Machina Australis. The planets are going to be floating in the middle of the room, and your goal is to get the 3 planets that you saw on that piece of paper in the correct position. All you have to do this is shoot the planets and basically use the compass in the middle of the room to know what position they are in. Once the planets are in the correct position, you can interact with the machine where you place the brain. This is going to start a lockdown sequence where you have to defend the teleporter in the middle of the room. This is going to spawn an Oscar, and the Oscar robot is what's going to destroy the teleporter. So make sure you shoot the UFOs that Oscar deploys before they make it to the teleporter. You pretty much have 2 minutes to defend the teleporter until it's fully charged. After you have successfully defended the teleporter, the sequence is going to end and you will now be teleported to Mars. Yes, we are at Shangri-La. It looks a little different, but this is Shangri-La on Mars, which is insane. As soon as you make it to Mars, you want to go pick up the brain in the middle of the room. Once you have the brain, you're going to run it up the stairs and insert it into this machine. Also, make sure you interact with the machine as well. I didn't do this until later because I didn't know I needed to do this, but yes, you do need to interact with the machine to activate it. This will now cause low gravity to be enabled in this zone periodically. You will hear a noise from the machine when low gravity is being enabled or disabled. Also, you want to head back to the main area through the teleporter at the top of the stairs and grab a fireworks ammo mod on any weapon in the game. Once you have fireworks, you're going to hang out on Mars and wait until you hear a bird. Now, this bird is very obvious. I don't have a recording of the sound effect, but I promise, just hang out on Mars and eventually you will hear a bird. As soon as you hear the bird, you want to run to the windows in the back of the area. Outside the area, you can see these Tesla coils, and basically you're going to shoot them with the weapon with the fireworks mod. You want to shoot them from back right to back left to front right to front left, and then shoot the one that's above the portal where you spawn into Mars. This is going to cause the bird to fly around the area, and you basically want to use the zero gravity, time it correctly, jump, and interact with the bird. You can then take this artifact to the statue in the back right of the room, interact with the statue, will insert, I guess, the bird into the statue. As soon as you do this, the 5 different pillars in the area will randomly have these antennas show up on top of them. You want to shoot them with the wonder weapon, but you can't do them all at once. You have to do one at a time as the antennas appear. After you have activated all 5 of the pillars, you can head back to the Pack-a-Punch room, interact with the piano, and you will see 4 different symbols show up on the screen. Obviously, you need 5 symbols to complete this step. You will see some static on the screen, and wherever the static is, whichever symbols the static shows up in between, that's just the symbol that's missing. So you can kind of figure out the order by looking at the screen and then looking at the different symbols on the towers. Once you are confident that you have the correct order of these symbols, you can now go back to Mars and interact with the different pillars. Obviously, interact with them in the same order of the symbols that you saw on the piano. Once all 5 pillars are activated, that is the entire Easter egg. You can now enter the Astra Malorum boss fight. All you have to do to start the final encounter is interact with the brain. There's no teleport sequence or anything like that. The entire boss fight takes place in this room, and I'll be completely honest, y'all know the drill. Most of the time, I don't actually beat the boss on my first try, so that's exactly what happened right here. Hey, I got y'all this far, man. I didn't promise I was gonna help y'all do the boss. I wanted to help y'all get through the Easter egg, you know what I'm saying? That's how you do the Astra Malorum Easter egg in Black Ops 7 Zombies. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see y'all soon for more videos, man.